Welcome to another episode of Take2 with Terry and Tony. I'm Terry.
And I'm Tony.
This is our post-election wrap-up show. So we're not going to actually review any movies. We're just going to talk about the Tuesday's election and also all the ballot issues for each of the 50 states. We're just going to pick one ballot issue from the 50 states. So hang with us. This is going to be a pretty long video. So let's start with our home state of...
Wait. When I voted, a lemur jumped up on the voting machine, and I was voting for our current president, and it bit me. And every time I tried to vote for our current president, the lemur would bite me.
First off, let me say this.
I think the Republicans had something to do with it.
What is a lemur? I think it's similar to like a prairie dog or something.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from.
Yeah. Anyway, on this week's show, we are reviewing Skyfall, the new James Bond movie. Skyfall follows James Bond as he presumably returns from the dead to battle one of M's enemies from her past.
Just a person from her past. He wasn't her enemy from her past.
It was just a person from her past.
A person from her past who's now her enemy. Jerks.
That's better.
Thank you. So, Tony, what did you think about Skyfall?
Skyfall, I thought was a good movie, but out of all the three so far starring Daniel Craig, this will have to rank number 2 behind Casino Royale. Casino Royale to me was pretty much was the best Bond movie, and it didn't live up. Well, I didn't say live up, but
well, why didn't you think it was as good as Casino Royale?
I just thought this one was too long. It could have been a little shorter. Mm-hmm. I just thought some of the plot points to me kind of didn't make sense.
Like what?
Don't give me anything.
Yeah, without giving anything away, just the villain, how he was able to do some of the things that he was able to do.
Yeah, they didn't really.
They didn't really explain why he was able to get away with so much.
What?
Just and because of his past, we know what he was. I mean, was in the past, but that don't really mean that he's all of a sudden became Mr. Super Smart Guy to do all the things he did in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's parts that was kind of like slow. The villain didn't show up basically till halfway through the movie, which I thought was kind of weird because most of the time, James Bond movies, the villain's shown pretty much right away. So for him to just show up at the halfway point, it was just kind of like, oh, that's the villain, because it was like James Bond was pretty much fighting random people until the middle of the movie, and then the villain finally showed up.
Yeah, I just thought that Casino Royale had better action scenes than Skyfall. Although Skyfall was action-packed, I thought Casino Royale had better action scenes. So out of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, I rank it as number 2 as well. It was a good movie. It's worth going to see in theaters. It's worth your money. Oh, yeah. But like Tony said, there's some plot points that kind of like, okay, and I wouldn't say some of them kind of did make sense, and then it was kind of slow. It was a little too long. It clocks in at like 2 hours and 23 minutes. I think they could have cut it down to probably 2 hours. But I thought it was a good movie. Now there's some differences from a lot of the other James Bond movies. As Tony had pointed out, the villain doesn't show up to like the halfway point in the movie, and then also where in the other James Bond movies they concentrate a lot on the Bond girl. This time around, they really didn't concentrate on the Bond girl as much. They concentrated on her for maybe what?
She was in there technically. The Bond girl was supposed to be
like 15 minutes total time.
Well, it's almost confusing who the Bond girl is.
And there is. Yeah, there's 2 different girls in the movie, 2 what you would call quote unquote main girls in the movie, and it's kind of hard to decipher which one is supposed to be
the Bond girl. So that was kind of different from the other 007 movies.
He wasn't as sexy either. It wasn't as sexual.
Yeah, that was a good point. Yeah, it didn't really seem that it had a lot of sexual,
I think
It had a
he
little
did.
bit, but
I
it
thought he
wasn't not
did.
compared to the
Yeah, I didn't think he was as charming.
No.
Well, yeah.
I guess they didn't put him in as many situations as he's usually
Right, with the ladies.
Yeah, charming people.
They kind of because of what happens in the beginning of the movies. I think they kind of were trying to make it. They were trying to show that he still had his agent skills.
Yeah,
that's what I think they were trying to show. So his fighting skills, his being able to his accuracy shooting, getting out of certain situations and stuff. I think that's what they were trying to show. It pays some tributes to the older James Bond movies as well.
Yeah, there's little things here and there that you got to pay attention to.
Right, they reference some of the older movies, even dating back to the Sean Connery movies. So overall, I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah, I thought it was an enjoyable movie. The theaters were very packed.
Right.
So I'm assuming this is probably going to make a boatload of money.
Wait.
Yes, producer.
One thing, the villain.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys like him?
The villain was very untraditional.
Yeah, he was.
Here's the question of the year, the day. Was he meant to be gay? I think that he was gay, and I think that he was meant to be gay. What do you guys think?
Well,
I mean,
there were some homosexual undertones.
Well, he acted like what people stereotype a gay person to be, but in the one part he was like rubbing all on James Bond and rubbing between like on his legs and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he was meant to be gay.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was. I mean, they didn't just come out and say it, and they didn't really dive into it any further than one scene.
Yeah, interaction between him
and James Bond when they first really meet. But I guess you could assume that he was. Yeah, I guess you could assume that he was. So, the plot wise, I thought the plot was good. Like I said, it kind of stretched it out a little too long, but I thought overall the plot of the movie was good.
It was interesting.
It
kept you, kind of guessing.
Mm-hmm. So Daniel Craig again was a great James Bond. He's actually my favorite James Bond.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sean Connery, but Daniel Craig is my favorite James Bond.
Daniel Craig is actually physically fit to actually, be some type of agent.
Well, I don't think James Bond was ever no physically fit dude, though.
He was supposedly an MI6 agent.
That doesn't mean anything. I don't think James Bond, because James Bond, Daniel Craig's a pretty big dude. I don't think James Bond was ever meant to be like that.
No.
Daniel Craig's not that big.
No, he's not. James Bond is meant to be like suave.
Yeah, how you gonna be suave and out of shape?
And in good shape, but lean. Like you're not supposed to be like no bulky monster dude, muscle guy or whatever. But you're in good shape. You got good cardio.
Yeah.
Good cardio.
You got lean muscle.
Good stamina.
Yeah.
Good stamina. Yeah. With in and out of the bedroom.
Hey.
But he's my favorite James Bond, so I like him the best. And I think they're moving in the right direction with these movies because, sorry Pierce Brosnan, but
your movie started to suck.
Yeah, after GoldenEye,
it was
the plot of those movies
and the villains.
They were just garbage. Even some of the tech, was just over the top.
Cartoon movies.
Yeah,
basically.
it was like the last one. What was it? Die Another Day was the last one. The one with Halle Berry. That one was just getting too techy. It's like, man, I was like watching a sci-fi movie. Yeah. They rely so much on tech. Is that where they're like in the snow place? Yeah, that's when they rely so much on technology. I was just like, this is getting out of hand. So.
Well, I think that like this movie, like the plot was supposed to be like the whole point was like
the battle between old and new.
Yes, and what's funny about it is they also did that with the actual movie itself. Like they updated James Bond to be current, and I think that's the reason they had like a gay villain. And like even with the shaken not stirred thing, he didn't say it, but they still showed it. But then they would have some parts that were kind of like more the old school, like when they brought up the old car, and then just like when they would show M and try to get her to retire and stuff. So like they made the movie about that, but then they actually put the old and the new elements in the movie as well.
Yeah, and they make a reference to the exploding pen too.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny how they did that.
Yeah.
What did you think of the movie?
I liked it. I really liked it because it was very different from the other James Bond movies, like you guys said. But I think they did a good job of keeping the good elements, the parts that people enjoy, but it was more modern. I mean, yeah, I liked it because sometimes it was kind of too old fashioned, or I don't know. It did need to be updated a little bit, and I think they did a good job with it. I actually liked kind of how it had actually a story behind it, because most of the time it's just action, and this time it had more of a story as well, and there were internal struggles, and they never really did that in James Bond movies, so I enjoyed that.
And all those people who are mad because of the Heineken thing, it's not that bad.
It's not noticeable.
It's over. It is. That was blown out of proportion because it's not even what most people thought it was going to be. So, just watch the movie and you'll understand. So,
yeah, you give James Bond a salute?
I do. I give James Bond a salute.
All right. Well, James Bond, we salute.
Yay!
At ease, James.
Next, what do we got coming up next week?
Lincoln!
That is incorrect. Lincoln will not be reviewed on next week's show because we have bigger fish to fry, and that's the conclusion of the Twilight Saga.
So Twilight's more important than a movie about a past president.
Yes.
So we're about teen angst and vampires.
I already saw a Lincoln movie, Abraham Lincoln Vampire.
Yeah, I thought that was a true story.
That was the most historically accurate Lincoln movie you can get.
This is sad.
This Steven Spielberg, he's throwing a bunch of crap together.
Hey, you didn't talk about Steven Spielberg.
I can't talk about Steven Spielberg. He's throwing together a crappy Lincoln movie with a crappy actors.
They said that this movie's very good.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
Well, next week, though, we're going to be reviewing Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2.
The conclusion.
And hopefully,
I'm so sad for our youth here.
Hopefully it's pretty good and we don't go into some stinker. Because I was disappointed at the last Harry Potter movie.
Yeah, I was too.
That last Harry Potter movie, it didn't need to be 2 movies.
You look like Harry Potter with those glasses.
It didn't need to be 2 movies. It could have been 1.
It was a compliment.
No, well, I didn't take it as such. All right. So next week we'll be reviewing Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 2. Anything to add?
No. Tell us where we messed up.
Where you messed up?
We didn't. Thank you.
Any last words?
You should mini review Lincoln.
How are we gonna mini review it?
You'll review Twilight, and then at the end you'll just do a salute or a turn your back on Lincoln.
I'm not going to watch Lincoln, so I'm sorry, I can't watch that movie. Not as of right now.
It sounds good.
I'm not in the mood for that type of movie.
Well, we need a movie for after Twilight, because the only thing, Red Dawn comes out. I don't even know if I want to watch that or not. I didn't watch the original Red Dawn.
Yeah. Maybe we'll watch Lincoln after that. How long is that movie? Like 3.5 hours?
Lincoln? It's probably gonna be long.
It's probably like a intermission between.
Right, it's gonna be like Malcolm X. You gotta break it up into 2 parts or so.
When it comes out, it's gonna be on 2 VHS.
Yeah, right. Like Titanic.
Still be 4. Or you
Right.
get the DVD where it rolls out.
Volume 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Like, jeez, dude. But okay, so until next week, I'm Terry.
And I'm Tony.
And
happy Veterans Day. Salute to all our vets, active, and those who actually gave their lives for our country. So we salute you.
Yep. We appreciate all that you do. So have a good one.